The federal government's contentious overhaul of the National Disability Insurance Scheme has passed the Senate with the coalition support. Health Minister Mark Butler has acknowledged the reforms will be hard, but says they're essential to rein in the cost of the now $50 billion a year scheme. Women with Disabilities Australia's Chief Executive Sophie Cusworth says the bill in its current state will lead to crisis.
This bill makes changes to access and eligibility that will remove hundreds of thousands of people with disability from the NDIS, and it makes drastic cuts to support. So practically, we think this will lead to crisis for many people with disability and those who support us. It will have profound impacts on people with disability who lose essential supports that they need to live an ordinary life, just like anyone would expect to. And it will have impacts on unpaid carers who will take on additional care. We know that this will disproportionately affect women who already face barriers to accessing the scheme and who make up the majority of unpaid carers in this country.
Yeah, and so an element of this is significant cuts to people's social and community participation budgets. Just explain for the average person what that actually is, who might not be aware of it, and what effect will that have on participants?
These cuts will take away funding from people with disability that people use to go to the doctor, to go to the supermarket to get groceries, to go to work, to leave their home. These are critical supports that support people's participation in the community, that support health and safety. Importantly, these cuts won't consider an individual's personal circumstances. So they won't look at whether that person has any other way to leave the home or any other kinds of supports. So we think that these cuts will drive isolation, which we know increases risk of violence. The Disability Royal Commission was really clear about that. So that's a particular concern for our community, women with disability who already experience higher rates of violence.
And what about the hundreds of thousands of people who are going to lose access to this scheme? That's what the government has made clear is going to happen. How do you feel about this new eligibility test that is being worked on now?
We are incredibly concerned about the hundreds of thousands of people who will lose access to the scheme, particularly when there is currently no alternative system, nowhere else to go. We are concerned about a new eligibility test, increasing potential barriers for people trying to access the scheme, creating new hurdles for evidence that come at a great cost. Sometimes they will cost additional, medical expenses that people don't have the resources to fund. And we know for our community that women already do not have equal access to the NDIS as it is. So additional barriers could lock more women out of support.
And what about those concerns over the level of support that's going to be available outside the NDIS for people with disabilities once they're removed from the scheme, and the coordination with the states?
We know that alternative systems of support don't exist. They don't exist at scale. They don't exist in a nationally consistent way. So the government is saying that, nobody will fall between the gaps between systems. The reality is that so many people in our community, particularly women and gender diverse people with disability, are already falling through these gaps in the systems. And so we need to see commitments to comprehensive, nationally consistent supports available outside the NDIS. And I'm incredibly concerned that we will see people removed from the scheme before that is the case.
Yeah, so despite the concerns about this is happening now. The legislation has been passed or is about to be passed. So what's your strategy with helping your members adapt to this over the coming year?
So we'll primarily focus on getting information out to our community to understand the changes, understand what is happening and how that will affect them, as well as how they can get support. As a representative organisation, our job is to represent the priorities and the needs of our community. And women with disability have been telling governments for decades what a good disability support system looks like. So our role will be to making sure that those voices continue to be heard.
Okay, Sophie Cusworth, thanks so much for talking to us from Melbourne.
Thank you.